Are we living in strawberry fields where nothing is real and nothing to get hung about? Living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. Gotta say, it's getting hard to be someone. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. Each week on my podcast, a different topic, discussion, or story from our lives.
Season 11, Chapter 13.
Is it
real?
After a Kansas City Chiefs NFL playoff victory, pictures of Taylor Swift in compromising positions, some pornographic, appeared on social media. They were not real. Before the New Hampshire Republican presidential primaries, many residents received a robocall from Joe Biden telling them not to get out and vote.
You know the value of voting Democratic when our votes count. It's important that you save your vote for the November election.
It wasn't Joe. It wasn't real. Shortly after that, Donald Trump shared a campaign video that claimed God chose Trump to wrestle the deep state, save America and the world. That one was real.
And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump.
Hoaxes, lies, cons, fibs, falsehoods, fabrications, distractions, diversions, misdirections. They are not new.
It's a collusion hoax. It's a collusion witch hunt.
And neither is the speed and power with which they take hold. Well over 100 years ago, Mark Twain said, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. Ain't that the truth about the truth? Except that story is not real. The often accredited Mark Twain didn't come up with that turn of phrase. In fact, it came from an essayist about 100 years before, named Jonathan Swift. If Twain ever even said it, he borrowed it. I guess Mark Twain was one of the original Swifties. What's changed? Well, today a lie can travel 10 times around the world and to space and back before the truth can even step into its hands-free sketchers. Today, more than ever, we constantly have to ask, is it real? It's exhausting, isn't it? Why? Why now? Why this preponderance of fake, this boatload of lies, the copious deceit? Well, it's simple. Reality is real, but we spend much of our time living in virtual reality. Definition of virtual: almost real. We used to think of television as our window to the world. Was it ever? Well, I'm not even sure. But now, all of the screens available to us, through which we view this so-called life, aren't really windows at all, are they? If anything, the algorithms and monetization make them more like mirrors. They're showing me back to me. Except it's not really me, is it? It's what they think of me. It's the virtual me. Definition of virtual: almost real. I'm reminded of the John Prine song, Souvenirs, where he sings, broken hearts and dirty windows make life difficult to see. That's why last night and this morning always look the same to me. That song came out over 50 years ago, and here we are. We made it. With broken hearts, we stare through dirty windows. Forced now to repeat our last mantra of survival. Is it real? Is it real? Is it real?
They're real and they're spectacular.
Is it real? And you may have this follow-up question. Does it matter? I've got to believe it does. Real matters. Because if it doesn't, It's chaos. And working backward, look around, reverse engineer chaos. Where you see chaos, you can look back at no grasp on reality, and no one cares. Nothing matters, and what if it did? Well, that was a cool t-shirt I wore in college as a middle finger to the establishment, but it's no way to run a planet. In the hierarchy of the unreal, the bottom rung has to be the liar, the simple, barefaced liar. A lie is the foundation of fake, on which you build the con. Con, of course, comes from con man, which was short for confidence man, a term coined in the mid-19th century for a man who gained your confidence, your trust, but only so that he could swindle you later. Amscray with your ashkay. Yeah, that's the ticket. Starts with the lie. We've had many famous liars throughout history, fictional ones like Pinocchio and Tommy Flanagan, his wife Morgan Fairchild. We have the real ones like Charles Ponzi, P.T. Barnum, Bill Clinton, George Santos. And at 30,573 lies in only one term in office, the 45th President of the United States. The 45th Commander-in-Chief, but number one in lies. I'm reminded also of James Fry. Ring a bell? He became known as the man who conned Oprah. In 2003, he had a best-selling book called A Million Little Pieces, followed 2 years later by the smash My Friend Leonard. Both books billed as memoirs. Getting on Oprah and being named to her book list only helped propel his fame and fortune. Then, an investigative report by the Smoking Gun found James Fry to be a fake. His books were just made up. Confronted by Oprah, he admitted to as much.
I don't know what is true, and I don't know what isn't. So first of all, I wanted to start with the Smoking Gun report, titled The Man Who Conned Oprah, and I want to know where they right.
I think most of what they wrote was pretty accurate, absolutely.
Later, in a separate video, he made this distinction.
I don't care much about truth, or I don't care about the definition of truth that most people live by. I don't think truth and fact are the same thing. I think truth is an incredibly subjective, individual thing.
So this is where I have a problem. Truth is a very subjective, individual thing? Well, maybe in some existential, lifelong search, truth is individual. But really, to me, that just seems lazy. Distinguishing between fact and truth seems like the easy way out. It's like giving up. Well, this seems true to me now, so no further research required. William Shakespeare, truth is truth, to the end of reckoning. I prefer the definition put forth by scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson. I like him. That's why I put him on my Council of Advisors. See episode 81 of this podcast called Council of Advisors. I'm going to paraphrase his dissertation on truth. Tyson says there are 3 kinds of truth. 3. There's personal truth. For example, Jesus is my Savior or Muhammad is my prophet. You might say, well, that's just somebody's belief system. That's true, but ask them. There is a heaven, true or false. They will say true. It's their truth. They call it a truth and believe it to be true. So according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, we have to let them have the term truth. Not belief, but truth. Personal truth. And in free democratic societies, this truth is protected by law. Personal truth, that's 1. 2, and this is my favorite, objective truth. An objective truth is something that remains true even if you don't believe it. That's called science. And by the way, as deGrasse Tyson correctly points out, science is not just a body of knowledge. It is a way of thinking. When a scientist discovers something he believes to be true, It must be verified with other scientists, other procedures, and checks and balances. Eventually, then, it is determined to be false or true, and it remains true, regardless of who believes it. The earth is a sphere that revolves around the sun. Personal truth, objective truth, and the third, political truth. Political truth. We spend a lot of time on this one. Political truth is something that gets repeated often enough that we start to believe it to be true. Times were better under Trump. Joe Biden is too old to be president. Chewing gum can stay in your system up to 7 years. Goldfish have a 3-second memory. Those last two are definitely not true. These days we muddle the personal and political truths with the objective ones. Evangelicals who vote for Trump, evangelicals who are never Trumpers. Either way, it's large groups of influential people who are using their personal truth to influence political truth. Notice objective truth is not in the equation. It's nowhere to be found. Is It Real? Is It Real was also the name of a television show on the National Geographic Network from 2005 to 2007. It was kind of the dawn of the current digital age, and it examined everything from fake viral videos to topics like vampires, crop circles, and ghosts. They don't make the show anymore. I guess people lost interest in what is real, and everybody started watching reality TV instead, which by ironic coincidence is not real. It's often scripted and planned and produced to seem real. Reality TV is not real. Wow. What's next? A social site filled with lies called truth? Once again, I'm pointing the finger to modern connectivity. It's much easier to share the lies. And it starts with the lie. Why do people lie? Experts say the main reason is low self-esteem. They want to tell people what they think they want to hear, which will lead to acceptance. The boy who cried wolf wanted the attention. That didn't go well for him because, when the wolf finally showed up, no one believed him. He lost the family sheep that were in his care. We learned the lesson, right? Maybe. I think the boy didn't. I think he's probably still lying, crying wolf every day. And in this case, his family believes him every day because of that one time. When a lie succeeds, it begets more lies. Remember the old saying, the thing about telling the truth is that you never have to try and remember what you said? For the serial liars, however, it is their truth.
It's not a lie.
It's not a lie if you believe it to be true.
If you believe it.
So they remember and repeat. At some point, a little lie here and there turns into a big one, and then this all morphs into a full-blown con. It's interesting that we, society, we kind of enjoy the con, don't we? We have conditions. We don't like average people cheated out of their life savings, innocent people getting hurt. But if you can con a villain, like in The Sting, then we cheer the con men, the liars. Or if rich people or big corporations get taken, like in Ocean's 11 or Catch Me If You Can, we cheer the con men. Also, if the con men are comical and bungling, like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels or A Fish Called Wanda, we love the con story. But it's movies. A movie is not real, even if it's based on a true story. It's not real. Speaking of which, for decades, it was relatively easy to discern between real life and the TV and movie screen. Now, as pointed out, life is multiple screens that feed us this alleged reality. As I said a few weeks ago on another podcast, as soon as you put a screen between you and the truth, its reality must come into question. Is it real or virtual? Definition of virtual, almost, you already know. Today we can create and recreate almost anything to look real, especially on a screen. And much of the software is free. ChatGPT can give us all the precise information. Voice-changing software can make us sound like almost anyone we want. digital manipulation of an image is easier than ever. You can get free green screen software where you can add images seamlessly, and you can do most of it without having to leave your couch. People do this. Why? They're liars with low self-esteem. They're con artists. They can monetize it on YouTube. They can get elected president. Yeah, all of those reasons. And more. In Canada right now, hearings are underway to investigate possible foreign interference, not only in our elections, but in our political system. Fingers are pointed at Russia, China, even India. And it's not just Canada. It's most of the free world suspicious of most of the not as free world. A lot of this interference is done through virtual reality. It's happening at a government level, not to mention a handful of rogue players, the bad actors that are in it only for the money. You start to hear things. If you elect A, then B will happen, but if you elect C, then D will happen. Yeah, that's what I heard, man. I heard that. But is it real? For me, certain things are obvious. I'll give you an example. There's a series of pictures circulating on social media that feature Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, shirts open, lying in a bed together with roses and loving gazes. I think most of us would recognize that as fake. Oh, it looks real. But we get it. It's satire. Whatever we think those two might be up to together, pretty sure they don't spend nights in white satin, sleeping beside each other with roses. But what about all the more subtle fakes, the plausible ones? Can we spot them? They get shared. It's so easy to share. Before you know it, political truth, repeated often, so we believe it to be true. This political truth is around the world, and we're still barefoot. I think I am hard to fool. It's not that I haven't been, but I have a good radar, a good spidey sense. I usually see the red flags. That's partly me and partly my age. Imagine a generation that grew up with these multiple screens where anywhere from 50 to 90% of the content is not real. What's their radar like? What is their level of skepticism? And connectivity has made them lazy. It's easier to just believe than to ask questions. The key is to ask, is it real? And the answer is usually findable, because there's also enough people out there who are doing the fact-checking and posting the objective truths. But you might have to click again, and then maybe even click again. Don't know if you got that kind of time, do you? And sometimes you also have to suspend some of your personal truth. I think it's worth it. The ability to create authentic-looking images with believable sound has resulted in this new phenomena. It's got a name. It's called the liar's dividend. It's a concern not only in political arenas, but courts of law and society in general. Liar's dividend means I can present hard evidence, maybe even a video of you shooting someone to death. And you can say, that wasn't real. It's fake.
It's a collusion hoax. It's a collusion witch hunt.
It's as easy to believe something is fake as it is to believe it is real. Burden of proof, right? Can you prove the video is real? It's getting tougher and tougher to do so. Maybe in a court of law with a panel of experts. But just generally in society, on social media, wasn't me. That's fake. And people will believe you. The liar's dividend. Is it all a lost cause? I'm going to be optimistic and say no. And as a matter of fact, it's a found cause. I know the search for the truth is centuries old, so let's call this a new found cause. Understanding objective truth, and that science is a way of thinking. Objective truth is a high priority that will give us clarity as opposed to chaos. The truth will set us free, even though the truth will sometimes disappoint us. Something we really want to believe, but reality tells us it's something else. Recently, a friend told me about a letter that Albert Einstein wrote to his daughter. The words themselves are outstanding. In part, the letter reads, there is an extremely powerful force that so far science has not found a formal explanation to. It is a force that includes and governs all others, and it's even behind any phenomena operating in the universe and has not yet been identified by us. This universal force is love. When scientists look to a unified theory of the universe, they forgot the most powerful unseen force. Love is light and enlightens those who give or receive it. Unquote. And there's a lot more. It goes on. Oh, it's fantastic. Einstein didn't write it. He didn't write it any more than I came up with the theory of relativity. Yet, we so wish that he did. We so wish it that we ignore the beauty of the message itself because it was written by just some person who was not Einstein. Sometimes the truth hurts. Yeah, there's a lot of things out there that we want to believe, but in the long run, the best ones are the ones that are true. Believe in objective truth. You can use your personal truth for, peace and meditation. Just don't force it on others. And just avoid political truths altogether. Repetition is often just fiction. You can't catch a cold from going outside with wet hair. Cracking your knuckles will not give you arthritis. And breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. The Biden administration conspired with the NFL to ensure the Kansas City Chiefs would be in the Super Bowl to further the profile of the already powerful Taylor Swift so that she would repeat her 2020 endorsement of Joe Biden and help ensure a Biden re-election victory in November. Well, that one's got to be true.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.